Hey everyone, you're here with Cody, and we are finally getting a chance to really dive in to our new Bernina 990. I didn't know where to start with my first video. Instead of giving an overview, it's like, let me just, as I'm fully learning the machine, let me just start with some of my favorite things I'm finding I'm really enjoying, some new things that I'm discovering along the way, and things that I'm using constantly now that they are here. So let's take a closer look and dive into some of my favorite things in embroidery on the new Bernina 990. Okay, so here we are on the new Bernina B990. And I've been working with machine for a few days now, and I've done a lot of embroidery. I've done some sewing, which has been amazing, but my main focus for this video is going over a handful of some of my favorite things I'm really enjoying about the embroidery side of the Bernina 990. And I'm mainly focusing on features. So the machine stitches beautifully, it's very quiet, it's very smooth, and it does an amazing job to start off with. But let's go and look at some of the specific things I'm really enjoying about this machine. And they're in no specific order, and we're just going to jump around at different things. So let me start with the mouse. I think I talked about the mouse in my original video when we were still at BU, but using the mouse is just so wonderful. It doesn't require anything specific, and you can see once you plug in the wireless mouse or corded mouse, the little cursor appears on the screen. It's super easy to use. It works just like a mouse if you were on your computer. And it's just really nice and easy to navigate and press buttons instead of using your fingers or the stylus. All of those work while using the mouse. So sometimes I'll find I'll even jump around just because I may be a little bit quicker or the buttons are really big, so it's no big deal. But I do love the mouse. So again, I talked about that in another video. The mouse is fantastic. So something that I discovered with trial and error that I really do like is the USB stick compatibility. That might not be the right word. But so the machine has two ports. It has a USB-A, which is our common USB port, and our USB-C, which is our more newer on the market. It's becoming very mainstream USB port, so it's a smaller USB port. The beauty of that, it doesn't matter which direction you put the USB stick in, it will go in. However, it just has those two ports. So if I'm using a mouse, and most mouse little adapters are just USB-A. So if I monopolize my USB-A port on the side of the machine, I can't use a USB stick. So I found a fix to that relatively quickly. So here is what a USB-C port looks like. Awesome, it's symmetrical, so it doesn't matter which way you put it in, but you can use a USB hub in the machine. So when I have this USB hub, I've got some OESD sticks in there, and I have my mouse stick in there, and this plugs into the USB-C port on the machine. I can pull up both of these sticks, but I also have another USB stick in my machine already. So I can pull up those designs as well. So it's kind of like having an external hard drive. So I'll show you how that looks. So we'll go and add, we can come here and we can pull up different things. So here's my USB stick right here. I can click here, look, I've got 3 sticks in here. So it's not going to show up the USB for the mouse, but I've got 3 different USB sticks that are pulling up. So I can go and click on one, and here's my tiling scene, my winter visitors tiling scene that I've been working on. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw I was posting some of that. Here is and so here's this USB here is actually the one that comes with the B990. If your store offered that promotion with the launch of the machine, this is your OESD gift box CD, and these are all quilting designs. And so I've been working a lot with the Halloween one, and so this one comes with BQM and EXP. So the BQM designs are all here, and so you can see how you can toggle between multiple USB sticks that are in your machine. And you can just select it, and there's your design. So while we were there is something else that I really, really do like, which is really nice. So I go back and let's look at another design. So if you click and hold, so that's left click and hold, or push on the screen, click and press and hold, you will have this box that appears. This is fantastic. So this gives you the full file name and this file extension, which you can already see here, but then it tells you about how long it's going to take to stitch out, how many stitches and how many thread changes, and a recommended hoop and the size of the design. All of this without having to put it on in your hoop. And what's really nice, you can actually scroll through the designs in order and see the hoop sizes that's recommended, the design size, stitch count, everything. This is really, really nice. So if I want to add that, I can just click here and then I'll add it to my hoop. Another thing that I really, really like is, as you notice, when we have a design selected, you can see it has the little boxes, this little grid, well, not really a grid, but the box around the design with your little points. So I can come to this corner here and I can shrink this design. And with it being a BQM design in particular, it's pretty much infinitely scalable, and I can move it around wherever I want. I can come and click this pumpkin and then it becomes selected. I can make it smaller, I can make it bigger. And then I can move it around super easy. What's really also nice is I can come and I can rotate it, and then it shows you on the screen the degree in which you're rotating it. It's incredible. It's just really, really nice. Let me go and add a third design so I can show you something else I really like. So here's just a little witch's broom. This is all from the Halloween quilting collection from OESD. So right now I've got 3 designs on the screen. In the past, I can click on one and I can edit it. I click on another one and I can edit it. But if I wanted to click on both of these and select both of these, that wasn't an option. I could either select one or I could come down here and select all. But there were times where I did not want to select all, I just wanted to select a couple. Now you can. This is a fantastic feature as well. So I can come down here, I can click here, and I can have the option to select one at a time and only one, select all, or the center one is I can select multiple. So if I just want to select, say, the first one and the third one, I can select just those 2, and then I can manipulate those easily independently. It's just really nice, really easy to do that. And of course I can select this third one as well and whatnot. And we still have our tiles on the side, which make it easy to see what designs we've got, the order in which they are. And if I want to select that or deselect that center one, the little spider, I can click it and now it's deselected and only these 2 are selected. This is a wonderful feature, all right here. It's found right here. Something else that's really nice, this isn't something that's really new, but the way they implemented it, it's a little bit easier to know you're about to do it. And so in the past, we've been able to like swipe and delete these designs, but it wouldn't always work every time. So now you can use your finger or the mouse. Is if I want to delete that spider, I can click and hold. Oh, actually, I probably need to come here. We're learning. So I can click and hold. Oh, so you have to select it first. So if I want to select this, select it, click and hold, and you notice how it turns white around it, and then now I can swipe it to the left and delete it. So you have to make sure that it's the design that's selected. So like the broom isn't selected, so I can't click and hold and delete it. You have to click it, then click and hold, and the little white line around the box appears, and I can swipe it to the left and delete. And don't forget, you do have your undo and your redo button. And so I can easily undo those actions that I did if I wanted to. Something else that I do, well, this is something that was talked about many, many times, but again, it's very nice, very convenient, is all of our icons have their names listed below them. This will make it really easy to know what you're looking at. And like if I'm teaching, I can say, hit the shape designer button, hit the stitch density button, hit the move up or ungroup or match start stop. Instead of trying to describe an image, I can just tell them exactly what icon with their name, and customers can easily find it. So something that's really nice is some of the buttons. So a lot of these aren't really new icons. They're just arranged differently and they are more conveniently arranged. So for instance, if I want to move or change the stitch order, so right now the pumpkin will stitch out first, then my spider, and then my broom, because we know that because that's the order we put them in, but also they're numbered in that order. But if I wanted the broomstick to stitch out second, I can easily click on that broomstick and I can just come here and move down. So in the past, we had to go to our edit screen where we're at now, click the little I button, and then go to pattern rearrange icon, and then we can move it. Here, it's all on the edit screen. So it's a lot more convenient. And let's just say if we're not working with any of these buttons here, we can always minimize that screen, and so we can see more of the icons that we are going to be working with. But having some of these buttons are much easier to find because they're kind of all there. And the large touchscreen allows us to do, or allowed them to design it this way. Something else that's nice, and so for most customers this won't make a huge difference, but for me as an educator, this is big. So many times in the past, customers would call me or they'd be in class and they would have their hoop on the machine and everything, and when they went to move their design, nothing would happen. They would move on the screen, but the hoop wouldn't move. So right now I don't have a hoop on, so nothing's going to move. But if I did have a hoop on, my designs would move when I move the design around. However, if a specific icon wasn't selected, the hoop still wouldn't move when we tried to position it on the screen. And we'd have to go to the hoop button and select a specific button and whatnot. But here, the virtual positioning icons are right here, front and center. So this virtual positioning icon, when it's selected, and we know the icons are selected now because there's a yellow bar that's above the icon. So here we can see we moved this broomstick because it's yellow. We've also resized it. We also did the virtual positioning is selected, which it typically is. And typically the show start stop icon is selected. And that's what we see these red plus signs. There's actually a green one below it because they're on top of each other. We'll get to that in another video. But the yellow line means that we've changed something or we have it selected. So the virtual positioning icon here means whenever I move a design on the screen and I have a hoop on, it will move the hoop to represent where that design is going to stitch out. Little things like that for me make a big difference because it's something that is used very frequently if you realize it or not. Another really nice function is, so sometimes we're working with designs, usually multicolored designs, and because of the colors in the designs, they're off-white or they're white or they're light gray, and they blend in with the white background of my hoop area. And so I can't really see what color is going to stitch out when, like when I go to colors. So if it had multiple colors, you'd see them all listed here. And if you selected a specific color and it was really light, it would highlight on the screen on the design, but because of the shade, it wasn't very visible, so you really couldn't tell where it was going to stitch out. But now we can go and change the background color. So I can come here and I can say, okay, what color am I going to be stitching my fabric, for instance? And you have a range of colors, whatever you want. But now you can change the background color. So now what we're working on, we'll be able to see better the colors in our designs. You have more of a contrast, which is really neat. This is not something you would be doing often, but there are plenty of times where I wish I could have done this in the past. So all this was found in my little view window here. By selecting the little eye in the eyeball in this lower left-hand corner, we can zoom in, which by the way, we can do with our mouse. So we can zoom in to specific locations using the scroll wheel. We can add a grid, either in the center or all over. We can show or not show the background, either be a scanned image that the scanner put in, or the background image, or here we can come and we can insert a background, either no background, scanned image, or color. All that's found in this little view window. So another function that's really nice. Just how we have like the press and hold here, how we have the press and hold when selecting a new design, we have the press and hold or on the icon, the designs on the screen. So right now, so what we can do is we can come to the spider, we can left click and hold, and this little box appears, this window appears, this dialog box. So we have different functions such as lock, delete, delete all, mirror image, mirror up and down, so left and right or up and down mirror image, or select all. So what's nice is I didn't have to come to my edit button, select the design, and then do a mirror image, or then delete it. I can do all that with that dialog, with that all closed, just by left clicking or use my finger, pressing and holding, and this window will appear. So I can easily delete the design. I can easily select all, have them all selected. You've got quite a few options, but we can either delete or delete all. So let's say delete all. Are you sure? Yes, it'll delete all of my icons. Oh, I'm sorry, all of my designs off your stitching area. And that's a really nice function. It just saves a lot of time by having some of those quick buttons right there. So something else that's really nice, and having the larger screen, they'll easily allow this to be implemented. So right now, say if we have a design up here, which we can easily bring one back. And let's say I want to come here. So I can easily come to my settings, or come to the lock screen, or the question mark, or the clear, all these functions without actually leaving what I'm working with. So if I wanted to go to the settings, I can easily come to my settings, which are all right here, your machine, personal, embroidery, sewing settings, and you can select and change functions all here, changing your units so it reads it in inches or metric. But a very common one for me has been being able to come just to the stitches per inch, customizable quilt designs. And so what's really nice about this, what we see here, is everything's written out. It's not pictures, it's words. So it's really easy to know exactly what you're looking at and how to find it. So I can come here, and as you can see, because the things I've been quilting have been on the smaller side, so my stitches per inch have been increased. So I've got more stitches per given inch. But it's just really easy to find. It's very helpful. And it's all just in this little pull down window here. And this is also how we can switch to sewing, embroidery, the BISR. I'm sorry, this is embroidery, BISR, or sewing. Another thing that was I recently discovered, which is nice, is so for instance, we can go and select, actually let's delete this. We can go and select a new design. Let's go and select some flowers. There's a daisy. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do, sorry. So let's go and here's our designs here. So in this window, we've got some options. So right now you see a lot of designs displayed, but they're on the smaller side. We can actually increase the size of our images here. So it allows us to see, one, we can change it from a grid to a list if you want to see it that way. I prefer the grid, but you can have small or larger icons. So it's a little bit easier to see, no matter how good or how bad your eyes are. Just having a larger image gives you a much better idea of what you're looking at. So that's a neat little function that you'll see in different parts of the machine. We can even open up this window bigger and see what we want to work with. And remember, you can left click and hold, and this will appear. This box will appear with stitch out time, stitch count, thread colors, hoop recommendation, and the size of the design, and you can scroll through it. I think that's fantastic. Another thing which I know everyone will love is if you alter a design. So for instance, I was quilting a Halloween table runner, and I was using a lot of different, just really playing around, using a lot of the different Halloween quilting designs that came with the machine, and I was saving a lot of them. Well, now it's easy to really save. Not that it was difficult before, but if I want to save this, I can come right down here, I can click save, and then the very first thing it asks you is, what do you want to call it? What do you want to save it as? So I was using some of the same designs in multiple or different locations on my table runner, and they were different sizes. So I could save it as, in this case, I could save this as Daisy Corner. if this was going in a corner or something. I had some spider webs I was putting in small little triangles in the corner of certain parts of my table runner, so I could distinguish, okay, this was spiderweb corner, or this was spiderweb pumpkin nose, or this was whatever, and then it was the right size. It was easy for me to find. So we can even see here some of the things I've saved, and you can easily name them, which is really, really nice. You also select where you want to save them in different views all up here. But we don't want to save that. I'm just showing you. So there is some other things I really enjoyed as I discovered them on the embroidery side. So let's jump over to the next screen. So let's put this hoop on. So as you notice, when I put the hoop on, this is something that's really nice. It's the simple things that make a big difference. It shows you an image that we are familiar with. But I get a lot of calls where they see an image and they don't quite understand what it's asking fully. But here it gives you words. It tells you in words what it's doing. That is simple, but very helpful. So I can come here. So this is my sew out button. And so this stitch out summary is really nice. This is something that's new. So here we can easily select what foot we're using. It will automatically detect what stitch plate, but shows you what stitch plate you've put on, what hoop you've got on, if you have a hoop on or not, because sometimes it'll say no hoop if you came here too soon. If you're quilting, you can turn that on or turn it off. Right now we're not quilting, so we have that off. And if we did have it on, for instance, it'll deselect some of these other options. But stitch length cutter, this used to be in the settings. Now it's all here. A lot of these things, some of these things were in the settings, and but now it's all right here. Very easy to navigate and change. That's wonderful. So there's two things here. One thing in particular that I absolutely love, and that is this top bar here. So this top bar is telling me my thread colors or my thread changes. It's showing you all of them. So I can scroll through and easily see the colors that are coming. You can do this while you're embroidering. This is amazing, because before it would only show you the color that you're stitching. When it stopped with that, when it finished that color and stopped, it would then show you the next color to change it to. But here we can get our colors lined up and ready to go while the design is stitching. And we know exactly what the colors are. Before, we had to go to our painter's palette in the edit screen, and it was just time consuming. Here, it's all right here, and you can scroll through it. And something that's really neat is it will highlight and kind of show you the colors that it's working with. So as it finishes one, there'll be a new box kind of here to kind of show you what's being stitched at that moment, what color you're on. Another thing that's really nice is your broken thread icon. So here's your broken thread icon. It's right here. Similar to what we're used to. And you can, again, use your knobs to scroll through, either go back a few stitches or go forwards a few stitches, one stitch at a time or multiple stitches at a time. Looks like 100 stitches at a time now. Or if you know exactly what stitch you're at, you can type it in, say stitch 1045. I don't know. And it'll jump directly to that stitch. But what I found that was really neat, because I was doing some quilting using the decorative stitches, I was quilting on the border of this little table runner, and because I'm still learning and I'm playing with the machine when I shouldn't, like when it's running, and it did something which was no fault of its machine, no fault of itself. It was just me, because I kind of stopped it and it kind of went back to the beginning. But what you can do is you don't have to go to your broken thread screen to move forward or backward stitches. You can do that at any time. So we can easily move backwards or forward, and especially if you know what stitch you stopped at. This is really neat, and I found it useful already. So that's a function that you'll definitely be using. which is I thought was really, really neat. But again, it's giving us some of the same information we're used to. Um, the stitch count, time for the whole design, for the color, all that. And then your high speed, so you can tell it you want to move fast, you want to move slower. You have that little rabbit speed, which makes a big difference. So again, this video isn't to fully explain everything about embroidery or every icon we're seeing. I just want to go over some of my favorite things that I've seen that I'm loving about the embroidery side of the machine. I'm 100% sure I'll do a video about my favorite things on the sewing side. And I did want to point out things that are new, or things that are kind of redesigned and relocated from previous models. I didn't want to focus on things that pretty much already existed, because it's a new machine. I want to show new things. So I think that's pretty much it for now when it comes to my favorite things about the embroidery, some of my favorite things about the embroidery, other than some of the obvious, like the camera, which is amazing. We had the laser already in the 790 Pro, which is amazing, even more so now. Could we just have more functions? But again, those are some of the obvious things that a lot of people already know about the 990, and how they function. So hopefully this video showed some new things about the Bernina 990 that will help you with learning your new machine. And believe me, there will be plenty more videos working with the new Bernina 990, and I can't wait to share them all with you. All right, as always, happy sewing.